to left center field. Back it goes and gone. The 0-2 pitch. He struck him out swinging at 101. Swinging a drive, left field and deep. Back it goes and gone. And the Twins walk it off again.
Look at that, right on the nose at 9:35. We're joined by Cory Provus each and every Friday. His appearances are brought to us by Welton's Tire Services. The Twins get ready to welcome in the Kansas City Royals after a day off yesterday where enjoyed after the weather was, of course, perfect and the Twins didn't play. Great to see you, bud, after it was a long couple days. It took a day and a half to finish a game, and the Twins got that one, and then Cleveland got them in the second game on Wednesday. That's got to be such an awkward position as a broadcaster, because once the rain started the second time over, I think I heard in your voice, like, oh, I don't know if we're playing again.
You know, I when the week began, it's like none of these games are going to get in here, and this brought me back to what was it, 2018, when the Twins they lost a whole series because of snow to the White Sox, I believe, and then the Twins went to San Juan to play Cleveland in 2 games in Puerto Rico, and it brought me back to that. Like, what this could be. You know, the Guardians come back only one more time. We're certainly going to have to work in a doubleheader somewhere then, and then maybe lose an off day and you have a doubleheader. So the fact that we got 2 games in was shocking with how ominous the forecast looked and just how dreadful it was at the ballpark this week. But look, you know, that would have been a brutal loss on Wednesday to lose again to Cleveland in that manner when you have a comfortable lead. So they came back and, you know, kind of gave Cleveland a taste of their own medicine in the sense that how often have we seen the Guardians just beat the Twins in walk-off fashion, 1-run games? Right. Well, they got one back, one that they had. I mean, that would have been a brutal loss. But then the second game, Gavin Williams was great. And you see the difference in rosters. You see that, you know, you're envious of the fact that it wasn't an option that Jose Ramirez, he's going to play both games. Stephen Kwan, he's going to play both. They have just dudes that can do that. And for whatever reason, the Twins have had a hard time finding guys that can do that as well. Play 2 games in a row of double headers. And the Guardians for years have been able to just find the right guys and the right impact players when you need to play 2 in one day that often post for both games.
We just saw the Carson McCusker javelin throw bat. We were joking off air. He looks huge. You've seen him is he as huge as he looks on television?
Yeah, Bailey Ober's a big guy, but Carson McCusker is different. 6'8", 250. Yeah, he's a beast. I mean, he looks like somebody you'd see, you know, in an NFL locker room. He's just a big guy. And, you know, I think he'll play tonight. I assume he'll get a chance to play tonight with lefty Noah Cameron going. And these two might have some history in the minor leagues, too, with St. Paul and Omaha. So we'll dive into that a little bit. But he's a massive guy. And I want to see, you know, the power. I think we all do. He doesn't have a big league hit yet. And hopefully he gets that chance tonight. And if he does, hopefully it travels a long way.
I want to go back. You mentioned the first game Wednesday, because fans are always interested in this. When Rocco decided to bring in Duran in the middle of the 9th inning. And the game was weird anyway because it resumed in the 4th. What do you make of that? Because that's typical. That's not – closers are such creatures of habit. That's a different position to be in.
Yeah, I liked the move of – because you had a game coming up the next day. Joe Ryan's pitch count was low. The weather was obviously poor. So with that, his velocity was down and all that stuff. But he had a comfortable lead that I thought, let Joe Ryan go out, try to finish that game, because that's the best case scenario. That if you have one pitcher, in this case Ryan, throw the final 5 innings and you win that game, then your entire bullpen is good to go. And these divisional games are a big deal. Now, when you think about tiebreakers and things like that, you only play 13. And so far they have 6 in, and the Guardians have won 4 of the 6. That's a big game. So having all your bullpen guys, and I also think Rocco knew that the lineup was going to look a bit differently for the second game, that who was going to play, who was not going to play that second game. I think he was trying to leverage and be like, all right, if I can't have all my position players for this second game, then I'd love to have all my bullpen pieces. So I didn't mind that move. And it just, the walk there to Manzardo was a
Yeah,
killer for Ryan. I mean, Jose Ramirez is one of the game's best players. He's going to get hits, fine. But then the walk to Manzardo, that's what I think
that was
set that
killer.
whole
Yeah.
inning, going in a disastrous direction. So I didn't mind that move one bit. I thought, yeah, let Ryan finish the game, but it didn't happen.
I can't believe I'd saying this that I was joking about earlier in the week, where the Twins would be without Cody Clemens. Not sure I ever thought I'd say that sentence all in 2025.
You're not alone. And remember that the only reason why he's on the team is because of Luke Keeshaw's injury.
Right.
That was the move. If Keyshaw doesn't get hurt, Clemens is either in limbo with the Phillies or he's on another team. But that old saying is so true that an injury opens up opportunity, and for Clemens, that's what he has right now. And the injury to Keyshaw has opened up a chance for him to play. And I'll say this: I thought the way that he swung the bat on that road trip in Cleveland and then Boston,
Boston. Mm-hmm.
I think he stayed over Eddie Julian. I think that the way that Cody was swinging the bat, hitting line drives, he can play second base. I think that's his best position. I think he outplayed Eddie. And I think that's why when a decision was made, when the team came back home for that next homestand, that Clemens stayed and Julian went down to AAA.
Man, and he's been clutch. He's had some big hits and obviously won the game on Wednesday. So now it's Kansas City, and the Royals are again right in the top half of that AL Central race, which is just right as we talked about last week. It's just packed to the gills. Obviously, fans want to know update on Correa and Buxton. It's been a week since the collision in Baltimore. Each were put on the injured list. Corey, do we have an update? Do we know anything yet of their potential return?
I think that Carlos is back tonight. And the reason I say that is because the off day yesterday, the Twins made some moves. They sent down Ryan Fitzgerald. So there is an opening now on the roster. I don't think they do that without knowing that Carlos is back. And so the seventh day is today, so he can come off the concussion IL as long as he passes. And I'm guessing he did. I don't think they make that
Yeah.
move unless he passed every medical barrier that needed to be had. And this was so much out of the Twins' hand at this point. Once you're on the concussion IL, this is overseen by a doctor within Major League Baseball. That's not employed by the team. That this individual's job is to make sure that any player that has any semblance of a concussion, head injury, has to pass certain tests. And I would imagine that Correa has done that. That's why they made those moves yesterday. So I think he's back tonight. Nick Paparessa spoke before the games on Wednesday, the head trainer, and he mentioned that Byron was a bit behind in
Mm.
terms of where Byron is at and where Carlos is at. And this is Carlos's first concussion. He's never had this before, where Byron, he's had this in the past, both concussions, but also Byron has migraines. And
Right.
that's why he missed that Puerto Rico series with Cleveland, by the way, was because he was dealing with migraines. So that because of that, there's more of a history with Byron that they can look back on and study. So he's a bit behind. How far behind, we don't know all those details, but I feel pretty confident saying that Carlos is back tonight.
The good news there. It just you still watch. It's just a scary play. Just. I know we talked about it last week on the show, and they're just a helpless spot there. That's just a scary play, and hopefully you get both these guys back as soon as possible.
I agree, and it matters. And the Twins need their
Yeah.
stars. It's great that we're seeing all these unsung heroes come up with big swings and big moments, but look, they're going to be in a stretch now. They've got a good team in town this weekend of the Royals, a playoff team from last year. Three city road trips are always tough. They got Tampa, Seattle. The A's have been floundering here a little bit, but still, Seattle can score. They're going to need their dudes. And Royce looks great. This is the best that he has
Yep.
looked. That's good news. They get Carlos back tonight. Hopefully, Matt Wallner's back soon. He's rehabbing with St. Paul right now. Hit 2 home runs yesterday with the Saints. That's great to see. So the next few days are going to be key here to get these guys back, get them healthy, and then try to match up, we hope, a healthy lineup with this really dominant
Yeah.
pitching staff. And then the Twins could be in for a really good stretch of baseball here.
You look at the standings waking up today. Detroit obviously in front, 5 games ahead of both Cleveland, Minnesota, and Kansas City. It just I know it's still May before Memorial Day, which I know typically if you're either in or out. If you're contending, then you're in, as the old saying in baseball around Memorial Day. But it means these games, you said it, in the Central, when you're playing division games, this weekend is a big deal. These 3 games mean a lot.
Yeah, and again, considering that the Twins already have lost 3 times to the Royals. I
Right.
mean, they already dropped 3 out of 4 earlier in the year. That yeah, these things matter when you have these central teams all kind of bunched together. It's not you can't dismiss the fact that the tiebreaker could decide
Yeah.
a playoff team over a team that goes home. And the number one tiebreaker is head-to-head record. He played 13 times. And the Twins, despite the fact that they collapsed at the end last year, they had the tiebreaker just about over everybody but Cleveland. And it just didn't work out. So these are significant games. And after this weekend, Dom, the Twins are done with divisional play until the end of June
That's wild.
when they go to Detroit. So they don't have an AL Central game here for a while after this weekend. So I'm with you. This is a big series. And we're talking about who the Twins don't have. The Royals pitching has been great, but right now, Cole Reagans is on the IL, Seth Lugo is on the IL. So you take out 2 really good stud pitchers, 2 Cy Young candidates. That's a big deal. Now, Noah Cameron, this rookie sensation, goes tonight, had a no-hitter going into the 7th inning in his major league debut. This will be his 3rd start. Then on Sunday, Chris Bubich, he's pitching like a Cy Young candidate. He's been fantastic. So 2 lefties are coming up for the Twins this weekend, starting tonight with Cameron and then Bubich on Sunday.
See, and I thought they would be okay without Reagans because Reagans has been great against the Twins. Lugo's been pretty good. Both those guys have been really good against the Twins over the last couple of years.
Yeah, that they have, and their pitching is incredible. I mean, Kansas City offensively, fewest home runs in baseball. Their run scoring, bottom 5 in baseball. Slug, they're bottom 5 in baseball, but they are where they are because they steal bases. They have Bobby Witt Jr. and they also have, maybe the best starting pitching staff in baseball right now. The Twins aren't far behind, but starting pitching ERA, the Royals starting ERA is under 3. And that puts them 3rd best in baseball. Twins not far behind at 3.4, 5th best in baseball. So I'm moving my scorecard as we speak. That's why I keep looking down here. So I'm starting.
He's ready to roll there. That's fantastic.
That's kind of why I keep looking away from it because I was looking up these numbers before the show.
Okay, question before break. Do you score in pen or pencil?
I score in pen, but it's erasable.
Oh, okay, smart man. There you go.
Erasable.
Okay,
These friction. This is not an endorsement deal. Okay, these friction pens that I use. These are erasable pens. So I use these guys.
Okay. I got to try that. I only do it. I only do it in pen, but it's not erasable pen. I like that.
No,
I might have to get on that. So
fantastic.
All right, we'll break. We come back. Much more with Cory as we get ready for the Twins and the Royals. A couple other topics we're going to get to around baseball as well. His appearance is brought to us by Welton's Tire Service out of Lisbon. Back. Wrap up hour 1 right after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour back with Cory Provus. His appearance is brought to us by Welton's Tire Service. Twins and Royals coming up 7 o'clock tonight, then 2 day games before the Twins hit 3-city road trip. Starts in Tampa Bay. Got an email in from a diehard Brewer fan who happens to also be my executive producer. It says, Dom, I think I could speak for all Brewer fans when I say this, but the tribute that Cory did for Bob Uecker was amazing and well done. Thank you, Cory. We mentioned that we're talking off air. It was fantastic. It went viral. I know that's not what you did it for, but you did it. It was awesome, bud. It was really, really well done.
Thanks. It was, I wrote it. I had the words in my mind for a while, but then I actually wrote it on the plane from Baltimore to Milwaukee last week. And then I was in collaboration with our entire production team, too, about, how we wanted to shape this. And we were able to kind of, get it linked up and hooked up with some great pictures and videos. And so I'm glad the response, I was not expecting the response, overwhelmed. But I think what it did was reminded people of how much he is missed and how important he is to the game's history, how important he is to me personally, to the city of Milwaukee, to the state of Wisconsin. He's a gem, and guys like that, there'll never be another one of Bob Uecker. So thank you. It came out better than I hoped, and I'm glad that it had the impact that it did.
A couple other things I want to hit you around baseball. The Rockies lost again. That's not breaking news, but now they're off to the worst 50-game start since 18 95. We thought the White Sox were bad. The Rockies decided to one-up it in 2025.
And yet they're still drawing.
Yeah.
I mean, look at their weekend attendance. They still do really well because it's still a place to go. It's still a place to hang. It's still a place to go. It's a beautiful. I love going there, and the Twins are there. I think we talked about this before. They're there first series out of the break. It's great in July. It's awesome, but I don't know, and their schedule now is brutal. I mean, have you seen who they play the next like 3 weeks? They play juggernaut after juggernaut, NL West top teams. You know, they play the Yankees and the Phillies. They're playing great
Well,
teams. So trying to find a soft spot in their schedule, it's not happening anytime soon.
Matt Walter, you mentioned in our first segment, hit 2 home runs last night in St. Paul. So it is only it seemed like a matter of when, not if, he's back with the big club.
Yeah, I don't think it happens this weekend. I think it happens next week. I think if I had to guess, I think there's a great chance that Matt's on the plane down to Tampa on Sunday. Um, they're off Monday. Is there a scenario where he misses, the Rays series? Sure. And then could he meet the team in Seattle? That's also possible. But I think that's kind of how it looks. And with my understanding is the ball is jumping. Going to want all the power that they can have. And so getting Matt Wallner back would be great. And certainly a good sign to see Matt back in game action, hitting 2 bombs. I saw him in the clubhouse on Monday, and I said, "How you doing?" He said, "I'm bored." He said, "All I'm doing is watching you guys. It's fine, but I'm bored. I want to play." And so he finally was cleared to start playing in games and had a great night last night.
I know you're not going to Tampa for fans that are going to watch. Can you give us the lowdown, like what the Rays situation is? Because obviously Tropicana Field is not going to be available. Where Tampa's playing their games, because not only are you playing in Tampa, you're also going to go to Sacramento. The Twins are going to play 2 of their next 3 series in minor league ballparks.
Yeah, so Tampa Bay, sadly, hurricane damage just destroyed Tropicana Field, so that it made it unplayable here this season. Just millions and millions of
Yeah.
dollars in loss to that stadium. So with that, MLB and the Rays scrambling a little bit, and so what they came up with was that Tampa Bay is playing at the Yankees spring training ballpark. They're playing at George Steinbrenner Field. And the Rays, they have to pay the Yankees, by the way, for
Wow,
that.
I didn't
Either the
know
Rays
that.
are paying or MLB is paying. So they're getting money for this to host these games that the Rays are playing. So they're playing these 81 games at home. And, they're getting to the point now, too. This time of year, you get in Florida, it rains every day. So I hope that the Twins are able to get these games in, that humidity builds, storms arrive, batting practice. Probably when I was doing games with the Cubs, that's when the Marlins were still playing at RFK Stadium, and they never had visiting team never had batting practice ever because it was
So it was
raining at
raining.
5 o'clock. It rained from 5 to 6:30 every game, and so I wonder if that's what the Twins are going to encounter a little bit. Hopefully, they're still on the earlier side of that. It's going to be hot. Yeah, so they'll play those 3 games at the Yankees spring training ballpark, and then go to Seattle, and then go to Sacramento
Oof.
and take on the A's for 4. And the A's are playing where the Sacramento AAA team plays, and that stadium is hosting more than 150 games, I think, this year between AAA and the big leagues. Some colleagues have been there to broadcast. They say it's okay. The lighting isn't great. The accommodations for the players isn't what they're used to, but for the Twins, it's what you have to deal with.
Yeah.
It's one time there. It's 4 games, and hopefully they can. The A's right now are struggling a little bit. That they can take advantage. But their first 3-city road trip is coming up next week.
Now, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they actually traded with the Rays because Minnesota was supposed to go there in July, right? And they actually
Right.
moved it.
Yep, July 4th.
Yeah.
We switched with July 4th. The Twins, Miami, and Tampa. And then they flipped with the Rays to have the Rays come to Target Field in July. And instead, the Twins are going to the Rays for this series. And I think a lot of that was because of weather. I think
Yeah.
if you're
Right.
playing out of your division, it's going to be hard to make up those games. It's a long flight to go back down there. So I think, yeah, they agreed. And the Twins had it, okay, we'll do that. But now we've got this long flight from Tampa to Seattle, but there is an off day in between. So they'll have time to adjust.
Great to see you, bud. Have a great call this weekend, and we'll talk next week, okay?
Thanks, Dom. Be good, buddy.
There he goes. Cory Provus. His appearances each and every Friday brought to you by Welton's Tire Service. Twins and the Royals coming up tonight at 7 o'clock. Then day games tomorrow and Sunday before they are off to Tampa. And that will be interesting to show the highlights of those games when they play the Rays starting early next week. We'll break. We come back. We'll start hour 2 on a busy Friday. One of the best athletes in North Dakota had a crazy day yesterday. Trey Hussar will join us on his wild day from baseball to the track. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns after this.